Lane. And it reminds me of that little commercial with the kids right now, but cleverly titled, and Bob, up to you.
Thank you, Charlie. A little reasonable accommodation while I get settled and started. Warning, check for the nearest emergency exit, because I'm going to try to sing. And past episodes, I've driven people out to the street, and Maple Avenue is very busy. We don't want anybody to get hurt, but please be careful. The book is Lover's Lane, and I did have a poster. I don't know where my technical assistant is. Yeah, well, put it up here, give it to me. We're still working out the bugs, and we'll get there. Yeah, staff training. Well, hopefully it'll stay up. There you go. Perfecto. All right. So, did it, Maestro? We're riled again, exiled again, constantly treated like a child again. Lover's Lane, spazzy and retarded are we. The ADA should smooth our way. But Lord, what a job to find a job today. Lover's Lane, spazzy and retarded are we. We're stuck right here, all alone we fear. Love's not coming to us, Crips. My dear, Lover's Lane, spazzy and retarded are we. So we write a book, try to find the hook. Come, please give our book a look. Lover's Lane, spazzy and retarded are we. Don't all applaud at once. So for 15 years I headed Excel, which was an employment self-help group here in the DC area for people with disabilities, and I heard all sorts of stories about how hard it was to get a job, but also began to hear complaints about isolation, exclusion, inability to form friendships, much less an intimate relationship with another human being. We closed down Excel in 2009 with something of a victim of the Great Recession, but we did have a celebratory wake in an Italian restaurant down the road here in Vienna. So after several glasses of wine, I got up on my feet and said something to the effect, somebody ought to write a novel about people with disabilities. A little light bulb went off in my head, and I began writing the next week. The novel, Lover's Lane, is a love story. Looking at me, you might think I'm not the type of person who'd write a love story, but that's one of the themes, how looks can deceive. I wanted to write a book about how people with disabilities make mistakes, fail to understand, find and lose a soulmate, discover their calling, in other words, act perfectly human. At one level, it's a story of a tempestuous affair between the narrator, David, a sensitive, out-of-work artist with sort of partial paralysis, no surprise there, I mean, take a look at me, and Jessica, a mercurial artist who has multiple sclerosis. They meet at an Excel-like support group which provides sort of fulcrum for character and plot development in the novel. David has a congenital disability, so he's been able to learn to live with his disability, to build workarounds and psychological defenses, while Jessica has an adult onset disability that she just can't come to terms with. She also has a rather the notorious pre-MS life history, which creates a lot of the tension in the book. David obviously falls hopelessly in love, while Jessica insists on maintaining her independence as she comes to grip with her situation. There are other twists and turns in the book, most notably a love story between two individuals in wheelchairs who face all the barriers, including obstinate parents, to their marriage plans. In a sense, I'm writing about all those lonely people who came through the door at Excel looking for a job lead, a friend, a smile, some validation that their lives are worth living. The purpose of the book is to tell these stories, but also to raise consciousness on disability issues, particularly employment, to expand the audience via fiction. I also wanted readers, particularly the temporarily able-bodied, to understand a little better what it's like to be disabled. But also want them to identify with the book's characters as human beings, not the handicapped. So it's an easy read. It's not all that preachy. There's lots of humor, a touch of sex, and even a fling on the French Riviera. Another reasonable accommodation. I'll take a slurp. So I got about a 2-page prologue. This is David. And you're reading this and then be off stage and you won't have to deal with me anymore. Anyway, imagine feeling like you're half a person. Muscles constricted in your left arm and left leg. No real function in your left hand. You constantly lead with your right, rely on your right to pour a glass of water, kick a ball, hit a computer key. Always compensating, always trying to anticipate one step ahead. And falling one step behind. Always feeling awkward, self-conscious and self-aware. Trying to hide what's absolutely obvious. Even worse with the opposite sex. Talk about involuntary motion. Kazam, left hand in her face, or almost. More likely, I never utter a word. Stuff my hand in my pocket. Just stand and watch, stand and watch. I always saw myself as an observer. Others participated, I observed. It was a great way to rationalize things for everybody, except myself. After a while, it got tiring and boring and depressing. Yes, depression, the flip side to disability. There, I've said the word. Crippled, gimp, handicapped, spazzed out, retard, lame. I am it, the one, the unique hemiplegic rock god. Rock on, what a life. And what a deal. At no extra charge, a lifetime membership in the PWD Club. That's People with Disabilities. Please appreciate the politically correct people format, people first format. It's not disabled people, or even worse, handicapped people. The PWD Club is the one club that just about everybody eventually joins. Please rest assured, this is not going to be another sermonizing activist screed, nor will it be another inspiring tale of a crip overcoming tremendous obstacles to achieve heartwarming success in life. I am not a poster child, and I'm definitely not a role model. In fact, some of the biggest SOBs I ever met were people with disabilities. So what the hell am I getting at? I don't wager that my story is worth much, but it's a hell of a way to get some things off my chest. Chest is okay, last time I looked. One of the few parts of me that works according to warranty. Anyway, have you ever tried to chat up a woman with half your bod doing its own thing? I don't recommend it. There's something unsettling, unrefined, a surefire turn-off for the fair sex. And to think people get obsessed about the length of their noses. Oh yeah, I got one of those too. Heritage of the chosen people. So I began life with 2 huge strikes against me. My God, Hitler would have gassed me at least twice over just to make sure I wasn't around to pollute one of his buxom Mädchen. Now, I'm not the type of person who unbundles his feelings at the batting of a feminine eye. I've had to learn to let go of my emotions. It's like that for many people with disabilities, especially men. Most guys tend to bottle up their feelings, and guys with disabilities are even more emotionally constipated. We gravitate without thinking to a knee-jerk stoicism, ostensibly demonstrating self-control, but really protecting ourselves against an unforgiving world. A lot of it is simply making pretend that we are, quote, normal, whatever normal means. The tension, the strain between acting normally and living abnormally inevitably builds up inside of me. I sublimate, I compensate, I want so desperately to fit in, but I never quite act the part. People see the disability before they see the person. Then the impossible happened. There was a woman. Disability brought us together, and disability tore us apart. I'm still not sure what she felt, but she was the great love of my life. Here's another reason why I'm writing. I'm still coming to terms with what happened. It all traveled so fast. She broke down all the psychological barriers I had painstakingly raised to protect myself from disappointment and humiliation. No longer was I the observer. I was in the middle, actually dancing. No longer content to observe what was happening. It was glorious. It was awful. I was no longer limping. My feet were not touching the ground. Thank you very much.